Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to show you just the recipe that you need to do this, and I'm going to get people started here. Let me show you the recipe. Hold on a sec. Here, oh, it keeps popping up. Okay, there it is. A half cup flour, quarter cup salt, and a quarter cup water. So you're going to start with a quarter cup of water. You may need to add more, or you may need to add flour. It kind of depends on what you how it feels when you start to mix it. So I am going to also show you some examples of what people have done. So people have made these leaf bowls. They've literally gone out and gotten leaves, cut them out, and draped them over a glass bowl because it's got to go into the oven. So, and then once it goes into the oven to get baked for a short period of time, it comes out and is able to hold its shape. So I kind of started a bowl like, not like this, but I'll show you later. And it needs to kind of be supported until it gets dry. So another thing, if you were going towards the animal idea, here's a cute little hedgehog. The texture right here is what really makes this piece nice. You know, making this texture, you can use various tools like the back of a fork or a knife. You can use tons of things to make the texture onto the piece. So then if you wanted to, you can go ahead and take this a little bit further and do a mobile. You know, this is pretty simple on a stick, and these are strung up. The big thing about doing a mobile is you have to put a hole so that you can string things together. So here they embedded flowers or leaves and then painted them afterwards, after this was fired. And this is just about the shape of the birds, and they strung them all together. So there must be like a hole all the way through these particular birds. If you wanted to do something like that, you may take a toothpick and kind of use that as to make your hole. Here's that owl that I showed you yesterday. It's just a little bit closer up version of it. You know, you're starting out pretty simple with just this oval shape, adding the nose and the eyes, and then the texture. They're using these little, like, look, this is like a nail file they're using for texture, and this is scissors. They're literally cutting it to make the texture of the feathers. And then they add the feet. They painted this, and then I'm sure they glued these on. These are the wings. I'm pretty sure that they would have glued those together. If anyone's interested, like making a skull, so what I would do if you were going to do something like this is suggest that you look at sugar skulls, if you know what they are from the Day of the Dead. They're brightly colored. They have a lot of design on them. If I was going to make one of these in salt dough, I would use markers to do the sugar skull design on those. But this is a pretty simple process. And then this is a big plaque, be rolled out flat with a tool right here that added the texture to the edge of the sun, and then the face and the nose and the lips were formed. So this kind of thing could be used with a like a mobile or something like that. So a couple of things that I'd like you to avoid making are like snowmen or rocks, you know, like, oh, here's my rock. You know, try and be a little bit more, you know, creative with the material. So we're going to get started with mixing this. So I'm going to get everyone, or I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to pass this stuff around to everyone who's here. So I need flour, I need salt. So I have a half cup of flour. So I'm going to use a half cup of my flour. Put that in a bowl. And then pass that around, okay? Half cup, the cup's inside. Okay, so just use a half cup of flour. And then I've got a quarter cup here. Use some salt. Quarter cup of salt. And then I'm going to take a fork and I'm just going to mix this together before I add water. Quarter cup of that. That's a half cup, so you're going to use that a whole scoop of that. All right, so you're mixing this up, mixing the salt in with the flour so it's not so separate. So once you get to this point, once it's all mixed up, then you can add a quarter cup of water. So this is a half cup. I'm only using half of it. Huh? Oh, is it empty? Okay, there's another one in here. So just throw that container away. Yeah, it gets all over the place, but it doesn't have. Yeah, the bowls are small. Sorry, that's the biggest ones I could get. All right. So now I'm going to add water. And I'm going to start to mix this up. So because we're using these tiny little bowls, I have to be a little careful not to get the flour everywhere. All right. So I'm going to start you out with this. So if you need more, you may need more flour or more water, depends. Okay. Just, you're welcome. All right, so I'm back to mixing. And what I eventually want to do is be able to touch it without it being too gooey. continue to mix this. More water. The cup's right there by the flour. And if you're going to add more water, add it a little bit at a time, like a couple of drops, because a little water goes a long way. Yeah, I would just even add just a couple drops in and see how it is. If you need more, add more.
Okay.
Because you don't want it too goopy. So if you guys are making something and you need more, like you need more dough, then, you know, mix up another batch of dough. But, or if you know you want to make something kind of large, you might want to double the recipe. Basically what I'm doing right now is just pulling all the dry stuff out of my bowl. And you should get to a point where you can move it around without it sticking too much to your hands. Okay, and then comes the big time of decision. What do you want to make? So, say again. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you see where I'm working, it's like on the table, over my computer. It's everywhere. Okay, so then when you get to that point, if it's too cracky, you may want to add a little bit of water.
Too much water.
Yeah, add a little bit of flour. So that was my next thing. If you add too much water, you just keep adding flour until it's the right consistency. And that you can handle it again without getting your hands completely dirty. So a couple of things that I started. One of them is I did this bowl. So I used one of the paper bowls as a mold. I put a little flour at the one corner of this bowl. This is beginning to dry. I don't know if you can see that. Like there's definitely some cracks along in here. And as it's drying, I'm seeing a little bit more of those. And I'm gonna just kind of let it be. You can add a little bit of water. You can take your finger and just kind of add a little water here if you want to smooth things out. But I'm gonna let that one be. Another thing that I started, I haven't finished quite yet, is this little turtle. Show you. So I have aluminum foil underneath to make the shape of the turtle shell, and I've added the fins. And I'm working on aluminum foil because then I'll just put that right into the oven. So if I wanted to add texture to the shell here, I could do it with a pen or a pencil.
wash my hands before I add more. Or is you can add more?
Yeah, you wanna, yeah. So I don't know if you guys can see that, but here's texture to my turtle shell. And I'm not really like dragging my pen, a little bit, but I'm kind of just pushing it in there. And then I just use this kind of to mold the fins. So the other thing that you could do is, if you wanted to, you can roll this out in coils. And I'm gonna make a little spiral. You see that little snail? So you can make little animals that way. You can make coils and kind of add them together to build something. And when you're adding things together, you want to use a little bit of water. So you guys want to keep working that until you get it to a good consistency. And then if you need foil for your forms, it's right here. If you need to add a little water, a little so I am gonna, what do you need?
Foil.
Yep, take it. Here, let me just push it back in there so we can get it out easily. Operating very well. I'm adding a little water, and I'm gonna actually put this on here. That's up to you.
Where's the foil at?
Foil?
Yeah. Oh, I didn't notice that.
So you saw the examples of what I showed you. You can kind of go with that. You know, you can do an animal, some kind of flower. If you wanted to do a plaque or something flat, you can do that. So eventually what will happen is we will bake these in the oven and then we will paint them.
Are we bringing this home?
You guys are, yes. Okay. Yes, you are, because I won't see you guys now until next Tuesday.
Oh, you're off on there,
right? Right. My poor daughter is having her wisdom teeth taken out on Monday. kind of trying to treat this just like clay. This would be like making a coil pot. But I notice with dough that it doesn't really like to support itself too much when you go higher. You just have to be patient with it. And if you're going to add water, you just want to add a little bit. Are you guys doing all right? Is it at a good consistency, not sticking to your hands? How are you guys doing, okay? All right, so a tiny pot. Oh, okay. Give him a lily pad.
Yeah, I kind of hear that one.
Miss,
Yeah,
I had a question.
okay.
Are we allowed to do like the face of the animal, or does it have to be their full body?
Oh, you could do a face. Just make sure, you know, it's got a lot of detail to it.
Okay, I was just curious.
Okay. Just added little eyes to my snail. Oh, cool. All right. Okay, so here's.
You doing actual claim, so
I know. I hate. I mean, if you guys come to school, we're gonna do actual. I just have to doesn't get but yeah, cool. So I would just maybe draw some a little bit of texture.
Yeah.
Perhaps maybe that would be good. How are you doing? You can, or there's containers. All right, so you guys, we're almost done. So, you have stuff, so I want you're gonna take that home. And you can take the rest of this home too.
No, just stay off the top of my head. Voilà.
So that's for your rest of your stuff. And
I'll
then
just bring it.
Are you sure?
Yes, that way I'm
Okay, you can smush it
worry
off.
about it having.
Yeah, it's transporting it. That was your
Right, right.
practice one. So you can just put that into.
And it's still frosted after I drop it.
So put this in here. Yeah. No, she looks funny. She's like, look, what are you doing? I don't want creases. All right, what do you want to do? You want to take this home like this? Do you want to set it practice and do it at home? Right. But I would like you, because I don't have other here, so we need to take them so we can put it in something that's going to be safe. And or you can, what you're doing is just something that you can do again. It's up to you. And yeah, like that's your practice, you know what to do. So what I would suggest is finding something like a knife or something and adding scales to your snap or to your snake. Okay? And then, so you want to keep it in plastic until you're done. So you guys, you want to keep everything in a
You know, like, what are these?
250 for like 5 minutes, but you want to check it and see. It might take a little bit longer than that. That's what I'll talk about tomorrow.
I'm adding just the tiniest bit more flour, so it's not.
Okay.
as sticky.
It's over there. Emily has it. So I keep things in a plastic bag while I'm not working with it to keep it moist. If I'm completely done, like I was with this little bowl, I'm gonna just leave it out and let it dry. So kind of up to you guys. The process is once you're finished, you'll bake it. I'll talk a little bit tomorrow about baking and about painting. Well, Thursday we'll paint. If you're coming into school on Thursday, you might want to either bring your piece with you, or if you didn't get to make it, you could do it on Thursday. But if you're home, you probably want to continue. I think this is probably a project that's should wrap up at least by Friday, latest Monday. So, you guys have any questions out there? No? Okay. I'm going to stop this recording.